Hello, welcome back to Wild Patch Homestead. My name is Steph and I'm just doing some random gardening today. My intro didn't save, so I thought, well, you know what, I'll just talk you through what we're up to. I have got lettuce and leeks. These ones I did purchase from the local hardware store, so that for me is Bunnings, and I'm just going to plant them out. So the slugs and the snails, they left me, I think, one or two lettuce. I've got two lettuce actually. One's just popped up on its own, and the other one I planted out. I planted 6 and one is surviving. So I didn't want to miss out on lettuce. I usually have a massive amount of lettuce growing in my garden, and I decided just to purchase a punnet and get those in the ground and give them a crack. So these are, I think, the green mignonette. We had that last year and we loved it. But my seeds haven't come up that I've sown, so this is really my plan B for it. I really would like to have a bigger greenhouse and do my succession sowing and succession planting. So that's kind of the plan for the future. This year has been very scatty. And so I'm just going to get some punnets and pop them in the ground, basically. This garden has been a bit neglected in the last few weeks. I've mentioned in previous videos that where we were planning to sell the house. Well, the last few weeks we have been doing the last renovations like crazy. My husband has been getting up at 5:30 in the morning to work on the house, go to work, gets back from his day job and works through until about midnight most nights. And then he does the same on weekends, works the entire day. And it's just been a lot of bits and pieces that we needed to finish, but they're really time consuming. I've been helping by getting all the skirts and architraves all, sanded, filled, gapped, all of that kind of thing as well. So, and painted, ready for him to paint the walls. It's been a whole experience for all of us. So the garden has kind of taken a bit of a backseat. I also got a bad batch of hay. Not bad in like it's a terrible batch of hay, but I put it down and it's from the same people I always buy from, but it was full of seeds, like really bad compared to normal. So I have so many wheat seedlings popping up. It's just been a lot, actually. I've never had that before. So I've really been battling that quite heavily. The kids have been out to help me a lot as well. We've been trying to work on it together. And I did a video. I may not have filmed it actually, but I had the seedling trays of the like kale, cabbages, broccoli and everything that we had sown previously. And then I got so desperate to get them in the ground that the kids and I just planted them out wherever. It's going to be, this is, another reason I guess Wild Patch Homestead really fits the bill for me, because I give up control so often in the garden and just let whatever will be. And in this case, it was, come on kids, let's just get them in the ground. Let them live. Give them a chance at least, rather than them stay in the pots. I've had other things that ended up just staying in the pots and, they unfortunately lose out on nutrients and sufficient watering, and yeah, they just don't make it. And that's the reality of gardening sometimes. But yeah, look, it's been a bit of a crazy season in our lives, and usually our autumn winter garden is excellent. Like we usually have loads of spinach and like lots of kale always, but a lot more leafy greens, a lot more lettuce, a lot more even carrots. I haven't even planted carrots this year, which is really unlike me. I would normally go year round without buying carrots, and I'm back to buying carrots, which sucks, but it is what it is. So just trying to be a bit forgiving at the moment where we're having to take some shortcuts. But I'm pretty happy, I guess, all things considered, how things are going. I've got a lot of brassicas that are starting to become like a decent enough size. I've got a lot of kale that we're picking from regularly. It's just really that lettuce. We eat a lot of lettuce throughout the season. We enjoy making like tacos and burritos with lettuce. So, and my husband has a salad every day. And I'm just not really up for paying $4 or $5 every time I need a lettuce. And here I am just digging a quick trench, a very wonky donkey trench. But this is just for my leeks. So I just find it easy just to dig a quick trench and then just lay them out. I space these ones out nicely. And then as you'll see, as time goes along, I start to just throw them in wherever, throw them in a bit closer. And it, definitely gets a little bit more like wild planting, which is just, I can't be alone in that. I see these beautiful, perfect rows and I'm like, that'd be so nice. And then I start planting and then I'm like, oh, but it'll also fit in here. Oh, look, I've got a gap here. I'll just chuck it in there and squeeze it in. So I'm sure other people do the same thing. I'm not going to waste seedlings. These seedlings are going to turn into fully grown leeks and I would like to eat those leeks. And so, I probably could have kept spacing them all apart. You can't even really see them here in this video. I feel like leeks and like any onion varieties, they're just tiny and they just look like a piece of grass. And so my concern is that I have already sown seeds for leeks, spring onions, and a couple of different varieties of onions. And because they look so much like grass, I worry I've just pulled them out, which may be the case because, like I said, I've had so many wheat seeds pop up, but they, I wouldn't say they look the same, but it's easy just to get in the rhythm of weeding and get complacent, I suppose, and because I don't know where I've sown my seeds. I'm a bit of a chaos gardener, I guess. I think I'll put a clip in at the end of my kale and mustard patch, and it's really funny. So what happened was last year I grew these and I saved the seeds. So I've got a whole jar of black mustard seeds in my pantry that I use for like when I pickle things. I like to add mustard seeds. And so I was like, I'll grow some, and I saved the seeds. And then for the kale, I also saved the seeds. And then you get left with all like the shells or the hulls. And I just sprinkled them down as mulch. And I was like, well, maybe there'll be some seeds in there and they might take. Anyway, it's turned into this beautiful field of like this miniature patch of, it's not a field because it's a tiny garden, but it's this beautiful little patch of mustard and kale, and the mustard goes to flower really quickly. And so it's been smothered in pollinators. I've had so many bees all through it, enjoying a nice feed just before they hunker down for the cold of winter. So it's been really, really awesome. And I love that about mustard. But I kind of wish my whole garden looked like that. Just a little bit chaotic and a little bit beautiful with, food for the pollinators and food for us. I also find it confuses the pests as well. So my garden, because I heavily mulch, I struggle with slugs and snails. That's really the reality of it. Well, I guess it's just the downside of heavily mulching, but I also feel like mulching is so important. And so it's that symbiotic relationship, isn't it? They go together, but at the same time, it's hard sometimes as a gardener because we have to, deal with those other aspects. I should mention though that I find by having a lot of plants in my garden that I don't really notice the pest damage as much. When I start pulling things out and I have got massive gaps in my garden, I have little vegetables and things available, that's when I really notice the pest pressure. And I notice that they're really, it feels like they're stealing all of our food. But yeah, I don't really notice them as much otherwise. So I also do another style of gardening called, actually I don't know what it's called, but I know people call it a trap crop. So I'm not sure if you can see it in the footage, but the top left of the screen, there's the passion fruit, which is looking very sad now because it's end of season and, it's cold. And just next to that is a kale plant, which is really, really tall, and that is smothered in aphids at the moment. But and although that's like not great, it's an old kale, so it's totally fine. And we have a lot of other kale growing elsewhere, but it's attracted all the aphids to it, and they've left the rest of the garden alone. I really have spotted only aphids on things that are dying. And that's totally normal. That's how nature works. Things start to die and all the pests come in and they help it decompose and they feed off of it as their own nutrients. So it's just the cycle. That kale plant it's pretty old, like I said. So I'm not too surprised that the pests have been attracted to it. But yeah, so I just keep planting. That's what I find works. I found some cherry tomatoes in there. They actually looked like not bad condition. I'm not going to eat them though, so I needed to get my leeks in, so they had to get out of the way. But I thought that was quite funny. This was my massive tomato and pumpkin patch. Some of you may remember. It was really wild. It was incredible. And what I loved so much about it was, well, one, I didn't plant any pumpkins at all. Two, the tomato plants that I harvested from up there, I didn't plant. The ones I did plant, I think 2 survived. And so they were all volunteers, and it was a really productive part of my garden throughout the summer season. It was, it's really hot where I live. It's in semi-arid zone. And so the pumpkins actually sheltered the tomatoes. Anyway, I really like experimenting in the garden. It's quite fun. I'm looking forward to having a bigger garden space to really see how it goes. I envision here's my potato patch and this is my onion patch, but I highly doubt that will happen. So I'm just planting more leeks out. Honestly, there's so many leeks. When you get a punnet of leeks, I think this cost me $4, and there are so many of them in there because they just smash a bunch of seeds in. So I decided to do 2 trenches on this one. It's a bit harder, the soil there, I noticed. But then it gets kind of good the further in I get. So I'll probably just have to add a bit more. I've got worms, so I'll generally use the worm castings to help loosen up the soil a bit. But this soil is still new. This garden is, I think it will be a year old, probably this month. Yeah. So we've had this garden for about a year. Yeah, that's right. So not very long. Before that, it was just grass. We'd gone to all the effort of laying grass down and then all the effort of pulling it back up again. But it's definitely been worth it. I've got some raised beds, and to be honest, I actually find the in-ground gardens so much more productive. They are more work, but they produce a lot more food for us. And it may just be the climate that I'm in. The raised beds dry out really, really quickly where I am. It's just too hot. So I find the soil is just really it's just damaging. So just there you can see there was a little bit of compost left in the pot, and I just added it down there to the compacted soil. It probably won't do too much, but rather than just putting it anywhere, I just kind of add it to the areas that are suffering a bit. But I wanted to show you my little mustard and kale patch full of all the bees. It's high, it goes up to my waist height actually, so it's really quite tall now. And yeah, I really like looking at it. It's a beautiful little area that I've randomly, accidentally, spontaneously created for myself. And oh, look at them. It's so gorgeous. And here is all of my efforts from today with my leeks. And I'll take you for a little walk through. I really hope that those lettuce are there when I get up in the morning tomorrow. So there's some spring onions there you would have seen. So that's why I thought the leeks might do well, because the spring onions have just really thrived there. Whereas, yeah, the onions in other areas, not so much. I also just wanted to show you my watering setup at the moment. We have a lot of rain coming, so I've just got one of these wobbly sprinklers attached. And it's really done the trick, so I'm pretty happy with it. Now, I just wanted to say thank you so very much for watching and hanging out with me today. It's a bit of a different video from me, but, you know, in this crazy busy season of life, I just wanted to be able to show you that, you know, this is my garden and this is reality and this is where we're currently at. But I hope you enjoy the video and I will see you all again very soon. See ya.